Hey y'all, I am back with another video and a word from the Lord. So without further ado, we're just going to get right into it. So today is literally a testimony of mine about me going back to my old job. This is where all of this stemmed from. And a testimony, if you don't know what a testimony is, it's basically just a story. Okay. So let's just get into it. So the first lesson I learned, let me give y'all a quick little review, okay? So I was working at this job. I was working at Taco Bell. And this was my first job ever when I turned 16. And I had to take this job because my family and I were going through hardships financially. So I was like, okay, let me get this job so I could provide for myself and I don't have to be a burden to anyone. So I get the job, like the job, but of course it's a little much because this is my first job. So I'm just getting used to it. I'm getting my feet in the water. So make it long story short, we end up getting out of our hardships very swiftly due to God's grace. And then afterwards, I'm just like over it. I'm like, I don't want this job anymore. I'm done. I started getting lazy. But in that moment, I didn't know I was being lazy. I just thought like a break. But that's what it came out to be. So I quit my job. And I quit my job, and then I needed a summer job. This is the end of my sophomore year in high school when I quit my job. So I started looking for summer jobs. And as I'm looking for jobs, like nothing was just fitting. I didn't want to do fast food anymore because they wanted me to go all the way across town to do orientation. It's just like I couldn't find this right job until I found Cowabunga Canyon, a water park in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is so is good, but it was far. It was all the way in Summerlin, and I live on the west side of Vegas. So it was crazy getting there. I had to take like 3 buses, but I was dedicated to going there. So I'm there, I'm loving it. And that's where I found out I actually wanted to be a doctor because I was a lifeguard there. So me being a lifeguard there, it influenced me to want to be a doctor because I love the CPR procedures we had to do. I just love helping people. I love learning about science and health. And in that atmosphere, it was just like so cool. And I loved it. So that's the little testimony of that. But I had told myself, I told everybody around me, I was like, I'm never going to Taco Bell. I'm not doing fast food again. I don't like fast food. It's not for me. I don't like it. So I'm on the phone with my auntie, and I'm telling her like my manager just took me off of the schedule because I didn't go into work, and I told her I had an asthma problem, which wasn't true, but like she had every right to take me off the schedule. And I was just upset about it because I needed my money. So it was like a superior type of thing I had going on. Like it was just like, how are you gonna take me off the schedule? And I told you I had something going on with my asthma, which wasn't even true. So I'm on the phone with my auntie. I'm like, yeah, I told her this, that, and the third, bozzy, y'all know. And then she like, make sure that you put a 2-week notice in because you never know, you might need to go back to Taco Bell. And I'm like, I'm never going back to Taco Bell. I don't know why I need to put a 2-week notice in. This is my subconscious thoughts. And I still listened though because I was like, hey, I had to humble myself in that moment. I was like, I don't know. Let me just put a 2-week notice in, put my 2-week notice in, and I end up leaving before the 2 weeks. Drop it off, and I was done. I left that day after dropping off my 2-week notice. Didn't stay a full 2 weeks. So, with that being said, what we're going to get into is ignorance. You got to be careful what you say out of ignorance because you don't never know what position that you might have to be in. We can't see the future until the future happens. So with that being said, I had to go right back to Taco Bell. Like that's my current job right now. I'm back at Taco Bell. So it's so important for us as humans to not say things out of anger or not say things like, oh, I'm never doing this, that's not for me, blasey blasey, I couldn't be me, and all these things that are just negative, deterring things of situations when we're not the king, we're not the queen, we are not God. We cannot dictate our future. We have the ability to have enough power to choose how we want to react to situations. But initially, it's not our power that we're leaning on. It's not my decision to go back to Taco Bell. If I gotta go back to Taco Bell, I gotta go back to Taco Bell. Like, if my family go through another hardship and it's grind time, I have to do what I have to do, and that's what I have to do. So it's important to not say things out of ignorance, because in that moment I'm like, yeah, things are looking up for me. I don't have to go back to Taco Bell. That's not for me. But at the same time, I took Taco Bell for granted. Yeah, it's probably not all fancy and everything I wanted to be, but at the end of the day, it was there for me when I needed it, because the Lord blessed me with it. So it's important to make sure that you're just not saying words out of your own conscience, because your conscience isn't reliable. The only thing that is reliable is the Bible right here. Is the Bible and the Lord's word. That's the only thing that's reliable. That's the only thing that's going to get you from A to B. Because if you would have told me in the summer of 2022 that I would be back at Taco Bell in 2023, the same time I got the Lord is so funny. I got hired. Oh my gosh, the Lord is literally so funny. Let me tell y'all, I got hired. My first job was at Taco Bell around this same time. It's January the 19th, 2023. I got hired at Taco Bell January the 22nd of 2022. Literally not even a year later, I'm back at Taco Bell. Well, a year later, technically. A year later, I'm back at Taco Bell. It's so important to really be careful of how you choose your words, because the Lord will prove to you that you don't have enough power to say how your future is going to be. I'm the only one who dictates your future, because I did not know I would be back at Taco Bell. I was like, bye Taco Bell, kick rocks. But that's why you got to humble yourself and not take things for granted when they're in your hands, because you never know, that might be the thing that help you get from A to B. That may be the thing that helps you elevate. So I have notes right here. When you guys see me looking, I'm just looking at my notes so I know what I'm doing. Now, my auntie was literally being used by God. She was literally being used by God. And this is a sign for the people who are believers to humble themselves as well, because my auntie isn't saved and God still used her. God still uses women and she isn't even saved. And a lot of times when you're saved as a person or a woman or a man in Christ, you feel like you're superior to others subconsciously, when it's not that. We have to stop with this ego statistical way that we have of walking around the earth like we're in dominion, when God is the one who's in dominion. He's the one who gets to pick and choose, because who knows, if my auntie would have not told me to put in that 2-week notice, I probably wouldn't even be working at Taco Bell right now. Who knows? And this woman, the fact that the Lord uses the most oddest people, the people that you think he would never use to help fulfill his purpose out, he will use them. So don't doubt people just because of who they are, what they carry, their background, or what they have going on. Because if the Lord want to use you, and if the Lord wants to change you, please believe me when I say that the Lord will use you to the max if you allow him to. If you allow him to move in your purpose. And she don't even know. She still don't know that the Lord was used. That the Lord used her to get to me, to say that. And that was nothing but a blessing. So for point 3, I have like 7 points of this video. And for point 3, it's called "Don't let your eyes be bigger than your stomach." Do not let your eyes be bigger than your stomach. And we've all heard this as a young kid, and probably even now. My eyes were so much bigger than my stomach. All I saw was more money, more growth, more everything, because I was only getting paid $10.50 at Taco Bell within this time period. And I was like, yeah, I need some more money. My paycheck's only coming up to $200 for 2 weeks, and I'm doubting every little blessing that I'm getting, and I'm taking it for granted, because just a couple weeks before that, I had nothing. I didn't have anything to give. I didn't have anything to even bring in, no revenue. So don't take the little things for granted. The fact that I was getting a little something means a whole bunch. It means a whole bunch. Sometimes you need to sit in a position for a little bit to get put into a better position instead of moving so fast. And granted, God changed what was meant for bad for good with Cowbug and Canyon, because I found out what career I wanted to go into. However, I mean, that's just it. He changed what was bad for good. You know what I mean? But yeah, you just gotta really be careful with the little blessings. Don't take those things for granted, because when they're stripped from you, it's like a whole lot. Yeah, I was getting paid as a lifeguard way more than I was getting paid at Taco Bell, but it was hard for me to get back and forth. It was hard for me to get back and forth. I was going through it, getting back and forth, but I made it work because the Lord was with me, and the Lord was leading me, and the Lord was the one who anointed me and revealed something to me, even though I had moved out of my purpose, even though he had to switch some things up to make it where I could still be blessed, even though I did the wrong thing by leaving Taco Bell. But when you're from God, nothing that you do will be made wrong. Everything that is meant for bad for you will be meant for good. And that's what he did in that situation for me. So it's important to not let your eyes be bigger than your stomach. Just because something looks good doesn't mean it's always the best. It really doesn't mean it's always the best. Because granted, I had my fun at Taco Bell. Granted, I had my fun at Bucket Canyon. But they had their pros and cons at the same time. You know, at Taco Bell, I had to deal with people. I had to really work on my communication skills, and it was getting me out of my comfort zone. At Bucket Canyon, I was in the heat. I was getting sunburned. My eyes were hurting. I would be restless, tired. I would always drink too much coffee, so I would be super anxious, like just all wiggly and stuff. But I was getting paid. I love swimming. I love having my swimsuit on. I loved all of those things. I just felt good being a lifeguard, and I was exposed to a career that I wanted to move forward in, and that's being a doctor. It inspired me to do that. So, yeah, all of that happened for my greater good, but it's important to really move in your purpose, because who knows, it may not be the same for you. It may not be the same. So it's important to move at your purpose at all times, because the Lord could have revealed to me that he anointed me to be a doctor without Cowbucket Canyon. If he really wanted me to be a doctor, he would have said that. He would have said that he would have said that regardless. He would have said that regardless. Whether Cowbucket Canyon was in the picture or not, it would have been said. And that's that. The blessing of you getting a job right off the bat, skating rink and Taco Bell. Now, let me tell y'all about these overflowing blessings, okay? So, I was applying at so many jobs after Taco Bell. I applied at Popeyes. I applied at, I don't know, I only remember Popeyes because I went to the interview and then I decided I didn't want to go anymore. I was applying at a lot of jobs though, and nothing was floating my boat until I got to Cowabunga Canyon, and I had really got that job so swiftly. Like, it just fell into my lap, and it was for me. It was really for me. Like, the Lord taught me so much working at that job, and he was still blessing me. He was still blessing me even though I doubted the little things he was giving me. Even though I doubted the little handouts he was giving me, he still blessed me through my trials and tribulations. And then after working at Cowabunga Bay, or the water park, I'm going to just say, I went to the skating rink, and I only worked at the skating rink for one day because I started getting so restless. Like, I was so tired, and it was the enemy attacking me because he didn't want me to work. And the enemy will come and try to steal your blessings if you allow him to. And my family was already going through hardship, so I had to get back out there and work. I had to start doing what I had to do. And me only working at the skating rink for one day, it was just a whole lot. I got hired like that too, though. I got hired like that. I went in there for the interview, hired the same day. Went into Taco Bell, got hired the same day. If the Lord wants you to have something, he will let you have something. But we got to be careful of not allowing the enemy to steal things from us. Because the same way I quit Taco Bell was the same way I quit the skating rink. Because I was tired. I started to get lazy. I started to get really spiritual attacked. And we have to pray through those things. We got to work through those things, because the enemy will try to come and steal your blessings. And it's not going down like that. It's really not. The enemy can't steal from me no more, because the Lord is on my side. The Lord is on my side at all times. So when going through these trials and tribulations and facing spiritual attacks, it's important to make sure that you're moving in your integrity and honesty within God. We got to make sure that God is our main focus at all time, that God is the one who's leading us to do something, because the enemy was attacking me mentally. I didn't even know if I was supposed to be working. I didn't even know if it was supposed to, if this job was even for me, because I had just went through my trials and tribulations with Taco Bell, with Count Bugger Canyon. I was going through it, so I had so much doubt in this job that I had, and I was so restless from the things that I was fighting within my family and within the spiritual realm, to the point where I was like, yo, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? And the enemy will literally attack you like that if you allow him to attack you like that. Now, don't get it twisted. There's things to fight back with. The enemy just don't have no stronghold on you unless you allow him to. And the enemy can't steal your blessings unless you allow him to. But this is a testimony to tell you, don't allow the enemy to steal your blessings, because he stole a couple of mine. And I'm getting them back double fold. I'm getting my blessings back double fold. Double for what I lost. Double for what I lost, for the time that I lost, for the energy I put out, for the restless nights, for the nights I cried. All of that I'm about to get double for, because the Lord is on my side. And the Lord doesn't like a thief. He does not like a thief. And it's just so important that we are always staying in prayer, that we are always staying in constant fear of the Lord and staying in his grace, so he could lead us throughout the way and show us what we're supposed to be doing and what's good for us, what's meant for us, and what's not meant for us. Because though the Lord has the power, he allowed that to happen to me at the skating rink for a reason. He allowed me to quit that job for a reason. He allowed me to quit Taco Bell for a reason. He allowed me to get a job at the water park for a reason. Everything that he does was to build me up. Regardless if I knew it at that moment or not, the fact that I'm here right now and I'm still standing and I'm still living, and I could have let those things deteriorate me and been like, oh no, I don't want no other job because I don't know this, I don't know that, blasey blasey, and stay in my idleness and my laziness. I decided to go find grace within the Lord, go find and search what am I supposed to be doing, because I genuinely didn't know within that moment. But the Lord revealed to me the truth. So let's see. We're on section. That was 5. And then here goes a Bible verse for that too. We have Exodus 22. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and slaughter it or sells it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox. For that one ox he stole, he's going to have to give back 5 oxen. And 4 sheep for 1 sheep that he stole. If the thief is found breaking in and he is struck so that he dies, it shall be no guilt for his bloodshed. And that's what it is for me and for you. The enemy's going to have to restore us. You steal one little thing from me, you're going to have to double it. You steal one thing from me, you're going to have to double it, because the Lord told you to. And the Lord, he does not care. The Lord got your back. The Lord is going to fight your battles. The enemy is this little to the Lord. The Lord knows who he is. He knows the integrity he has. He knows the confidence that he has. And the Lord will have your back through everything that you go through. So when it says, if a thief is found breaking in and he's struck so that he dies, it shall be no guilt for his bloodshed. The Lord will fight your battles. The Lord will fight your battles and give you revelation. The Lord will help you out. And you're going to be restored, regardless of how long the enemy been stealing from you. Because sometimes it look like generational curses. Sometimes it look like having sex out of sin. Having sex in sin, having sex out of marriage. Sometimes it look like adultery, idolatry. Sometimes it look like fornication. Sometimes it look like poverty. Sometimes it look a hot mess. But it's double for your trouble when you believe in the Lord and you're searching out the Lord. And then here goes another verse for you. John 11:51. Now this he did not say on his own authority, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nations. Now, if y'all don't know about John 11 and how Jesus died and all of that, go read it. But make it long story short, basically, the priest that year had been used by the Lord, and he was the one that wanted to kill Jesus, and he was still used by the Lord. What's meant for bad will be used for good. The priest didn't like Jesus. The priest wanted to kill Jesus. But since he was the priest of that year, God was like, okay, I'm going to show you. And he used him to prophesy Jesus' own success, Jesus' own death. Jesus' own death. The Lord will literally use the people who are trying to do you bad and turn it for good. Can nothing that is meant for bad with you be used against you? Because the Lord will make it good for your sake. For your sake, because he has grace. And all the glory and praise go on to the Lord, because he is good. What a great God for him to do that. And that's proof right there. This man did not like Jesus. This man wanted to kill Jesus. They were envious of Jesus. But just because of his title, just because he wanted his title more than he wanted the Lord, the Lord said, since you want to be a priest so bad, I'm going to use you. And he was used. What's bad is meant for good all the time. You're never on the out. You're never on the out. You're never taking L's as long as it's with the Lord. As long as you're with the Lord. Your failures, they come easy. They come easy when it's with the Lord. And of course, we all human. We go through our trials and tribulations and it gets hard. But when you have the Lord, it's not that hard. It gets better. So then, let me see. We have our 7th point, which is a verse. The Lord takes you through the works to get you to the best part. And I had to go through the works, y'all. I had to go through trials and tribulations from the first job I had to the last job I had. I was searching for jobs, looking for jobs. And nothing was getting back to me. I wanted to get a job in the mall. I wanted to get a job at the rec center. I wanted to get a job here. I wanted to get a job there. But nothing was working out for me until the Lord gave me an idea. It was like, call Taco Bell. I called Taco Bell and it's prosperous because that's where the Lord wants me to be. The Lord will help you. The Lord will be your guidance. The Lord will be there for you. But sometimes you have to go through the works to get to the good. Sometimes you have to go through the things that you thought you didn't want to go through, the things that you thought you could never go through in order to grow more. I left Taco Bell without even fully growing, without even fully meeting my full potential there, without learning more than what I needed to know when I left. I just got up and left. And it's important to stay in a situation until the Lord tell you to leave. Until you know in your spirit that the Lord is telling you to leave. The Lord has blessed me with this opportunity to even work at Taco Bell again. For me to go in there and get hired just like that, right on the spot. Right on the spot is a blessing. As this verse says, Matthew 7:13, enter through the narrow gate, because the broad is the way. Because the broad is the way that leads to destruction, and I'm sorry, y'all, bear with me. Enter through the narrow gate, because broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. Because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way that leads to life. The Lord is saying that go through the narrow gate, follow his path, and do not lead astray from where he has you going, because it's important that you're staying in your integrity within the Lord. It's important that you're staying in your integrity within the Lord, because he has to take you through the works in order to get to the best thing that is meant for you. Not everything in your life is just going to fit together like this and be perfect. Sometimes things are going to look crazy like this. Sometimes things are going to be everywhere. And you have to be capable of staying down this narrow path and not going and being led astray. It's so important to have integrity within the Lord and move within your purpose, because the Lord is meant for you. The Lord is meant to prosper you. But the things that you are looking at, I know it gets tiresome. I know that it's annoying. I know sometimes you just wonder, when is it all going to stop? But it's not going to stop until you put your gloves on and start allowing the Lord to help you fight back. That's when it will stop. You have to get up and do what's best for you at all times. You have to stay faithful while God is putting you through the works, while he's putting you through the difficult times, because these difficult times is what builds character. These difficult times is what builds humility. And I'm so blessed to even have this experience and go through all that I went through, because the fact that I even have this job right now is just such a blessing, and I'm not going to take it for granted. It's important to be humble in the situations that you go through. And I'm a living testimony of that, y'all. Be humble. Be grateful for each little blessing that you get. Each little blessing. Do not take it for granted, because little works are still big works in the kingdom of heaven. It's really better than nothing. So, with that being said, here's this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope this really touched your soul and did something for you guys. And I just pray that you guys, hold on. Let me read this last verse. I got one more point to make before we end this video. So here we have, when I was talking about Cowbuggy Bay versus Taco Bell, right? I want to read y'all John 14. Open your ears and listen to this. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have not told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself. And I receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you know, in the way you know. And the Lord is saying that if the Lord has you in a certain position, he is going to do something with you. He's coming to prepare something with you. So in this area of my life specifically, when I was having Taco Bell, when I was going through Taco Bell, through trials and tribulations with Taco Bell, wanting to go to Cowbuggy Canyon, I was going through it, y'all. But right here, the Lord is basically saying that he will prepare us, that there's so much more meant for us when we just wait a little bit. Wait on the Lord to come, and he will renew you. Don't be frightened. Don't be anxious. Don't be troubled. The Lord is going to be with you through each step that you take. Sometimes you just got to wait a little bit. Sometimes you just got to breathe a little bit. Sometimes you just got to stay in a place for a little bit and see how it works out. Stop leaving so fast. Just stay there and stay stagnant for a little bit. Just stay there, because when you in a certain position, sometimes when you under the pressure and you uncomfortable, that's when growth begins to happen. That's when faith begins to happen. All is for your greater good, and you must notice that the Lord, like he said, he's preparing mansions for you. Everything that is in heaven, all the richness and fullness that is in heaven is doubled forth yours in earth. Heaven is on earth. Let's bring heaven to earth with God in us. Move in your purpose. Move within the integrity that the Lord has given you, and all will mean well. That is the word for today, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and that y'all could really just do what y'all please with this word and take it back to the Lord and just pray on it and have him bless you with some more wisdom and integrity of this message. So I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank y'all for listening. The ones who got it this far, this is meant for you. Bye bye. Good night.